we're going to go back to our panel just for a brief discussion between the panelists as to reflections on their individual contributions. And before doing that, I just want to put before them some of the proposals and insights from the chat. So from the chat, there's a suggestion we need global coordinated industrial action, direct action, boycott, divestment and sanctions now, and of course protests. And from Huda, prioritising complicity, prioritising actions against complicity in Israel's crimes. From Asa, exposing propaganda and lies. So I'll open the floor now to the panelists. And if we can go through you, I mean, I'd like a kind of discussion between you, if that's possible. I imagine you're in a room together and just reflecting on the contributions so far, and I'll spotlight you for who needs to lead first.
If I can jump in, because I have to go soon.
Yeah, go on then, Ronnie. Yeah.
It was very interesting to hear everyone. Thank you. I think that, like Huda says, we have to go to the source. We have to think what is the most effective and how can we change the situation in the most effective way. I know that everyone is well-meaning, everyone wants to do something, and now it is up to us to think how can we be most effective, considering that we are on the one hand scattered around the world, but that is also our forte, our strength, that we are scattered all over the world, and we have the thousands and the millions standing up for Palestinians. So on the one hand, I think that we do have to take it with international institutions, the UN and others, who simply have to do their job, as simple as that, and they refuse to do that. They refuse to hold Israel accountable. They refuse to even abide by the EU-Israel Association Agreement. Even to that extent, they refuse to abide by their own agreements, let alone international law, let alone implement sanctions, and they should do that. They are obligated to do that. Every legislator, every elected official is obligated by law to oppose crimes against humanity, including apartheid and genocide. Us, the people, can stand up. We do stand up. We just have to do that in the most effective way. I am very encouraged by, for example, seeing people doing block the boat actions, because dock workers and blocking the what is called the movement of weapons and so on, whatever that is called. I mean, that is crucial. Israel cannot carry on basically carpet bombing Gaza without the constant supply that it gets of ammunition and other material from the US and elsewhere. They simply cannot. They cannot survive for more than a few days just bombing the hell out of Gaza without that. And we know about everything else. Israel, unlike South Africa in the past, is very much dependent on its relations with the international community, on being supplied material and other things by the international community. The moment we block the boats, the moment we do anything like that, we shut down that supply chain, like targeting Elbit Systems and others. This will have an effect.
Yes, thank you, Ronnie. Stephen, did you want to reflect on the contributions so far?
Sorry. Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah. Okay. I'd just like to draw a parallel between the Holocaust experience on the mental agony side of the difficulty of families having to make agonizing decisions. In my family, there was a question, for example, of my father joining the Kastner project offer to go to Bergen-Belsen temporarily to be from there freed up towards Switzerland, etc., in a kind of accommodation or deal that Kastner came to with the Nazis. Now, an individual having to make a decision to leave the family behind and trust a promise of the Nazis to join a transport to Belgium, which, you know, eventually he did, and we all got separated and so on. Luckily, he survived. He never got to Switzerland, but he survived. Now, I can see parallel with what's going on in Gaza right now. Families are urged to move south. All of a sudden, whole families having to make a decision. Is this a believable offer that it would be safe to move and leave everything behind? It's absolutely agonizing. And of course, many of them moved and then got bombed in the south. So there is a trauma on the mental side as well.
Yes. Thank you, Stephen. Huda, did you want to add anything now?
I think I'd echo what Ronnie has already said, but I think at times like this, it's just reiterating why we do take direct action in the first place. And I think that the importance of it is just intensified at this moment. And, you know, for us, it is about bypassing the government. It's about bypassing those politicians who are calling for the genocide of Palestinians and just going straight to the source and shutting down these factories. And, you know, we've shown that over the past few weeks, that people are more than capable of doing this in several different ways, in blockades, in locking on climbing onto the roof of these factories and breaking inside in some cases, like Ronnie did. But, you know, that there's so many different ways that we can do this. But we have seen hundreds of thousands of people in the streets of London. We only need a small percentage of that in order to shut down every single weapons manufacturer in this country. And I think that that's the power that we have. And it can't just be a one-off. It needs to be on a sustained basis. We have to cost them where it counts. We have to cost their bottom line, because at the end of the day, that's all these weapons manufacturers care about. And we've seen in Palestine Action as well that that's what the state has been so desperate to protect. And I think that just highlights how important the Israeli weapons trade and these military companies who are fueling Israel are to the British state. And when they show you what they don't want you to do, then that's exactly what you should do.
Thank you, Huda. And you're right. If all the people protesting actually took some direct action, we'd make a massive difference, wouldn't we? Tony, over to you before we take contributions and questions from the floor. Any reflections on what's been said by all the panelists so far?
Yeah, I mean, all the speeches have been wonderful and good. I mean, having Stephen here who can give us a perspective on the Holocaust, having a child victim of it, because Zionism is not like apartheid. I mean, many people here may not remember 30 odd years ago, the anti-apartheid struggle, but there was very little defense ideologically and politically of the apartheid state, because white supremacy in essence was indefensible. Whereas when it comes to Israel, there is a massive propaganda campaign weaponizing the Holocaust, weaponizing anti-Semitism, and justifying everything they do. Now, I think people are beginning to see through that, but we have to be quite fierce in our own politics and not, if you like, reach for the moderate middle and say, yes, we support two states, when that would mean Israel continues as a ghetto state within borders, which it can't anyway. We have to be clear as to what we want. We want an end to apartheid, not, if you like, it's confining within four borders pre-67, as it were. So, I mean, that is one of the lessons. The other lesson, I think, reflecting on it, is that there is an urgent need to build a Palestine solidarity movement that will make waves, that doesn't seek accommodation with governments, that doesn't seek respectability, that doesn't put Keir Starmer on its platform 10 years ago, or Lisa Nandy, or Emily Thornberry even. There is no point in putting these people on your platform if after the meeting they go and speak to Labour Friends of Israel and say they didn't mean a word of it. We have to get real in the sense, and we have to learn some lessons. we owe it to the people of Gaza who are going through so much, the horrific scenes that we've all witnessed. We cannot let there be a repetition of what's happened. Israel has to pay the price. Thank you.
Thank you, comrade.